Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with Two Humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of this episode is One Singularity Sensation Every Exponential Step It Takes When AI Surpasses H. Sapiens.
Oh.
So today, John, we're going to be discussing artificial intelligence, or AI, and the quest to build a more human-like robot. And more human-like in the sense that it does things faster than humans, more efficiently than humans, more correctly than humans.
Yeah.
And it doesn't complain or take lunch breaks or go to the bathroom. So
right. And then it becomes aware of itself and kills us all.
Right.
That's what any science fiction movie ever says.
To me, as I was reading that, I was like, yeah, it's more they're trying to build it more human-like in all the ways that it won't be like humans. But believe it or not, John, there are programmers and engineers out there right now who are scraping the internet of all human knowledge and downloading it into a database that will eventually be input into a robot. And because this podcast is titled An Intro to Anthro with Two Humans, and because we say that we are reassessing what it means to be human, I think it's not unreasonable to think that one day this podcast will be seen as a repository of what humans were like.
Yes, it will.
And going a little bit further, I think it's not unreasonable to think that maybe one day a robot will be designed based on old episodes of this show.
Holy crap. That would be fantastic. Maybe this episode that we're giving you right now is completely AI.
It could be.
And that we fed our voices into an AI program. And that this is the show. The show is not human number one or human number two. It's AI number one, AI number two. Maybe we're AI and we don't even know it.
Oh my God. Maybe maybe like hundreds of years in the future, we've already reached that point.
Yes.
And we're going back in just thinking about what John and John did.
Yeah. Maybe this is a little display in a museum somewhere for other robots.
Oh. I was thinking about it's like if they did design robots based on us, it would be like just two broken down, self-obsessed former alcoholics,
What is it? I mean, what's the point?
Be like, hey, why does the robot keep pouring beer in its speaker hole?
Listen, we all know the only robots, the first robots they're going to build and the ones that are going to get the most attention are sex bots.
Oh, yeah.
We all have a mate that does everything we want it to do.
That goes without saying.
And I don't mean just sexually. I mean emotionally, too. Oh, honey, how was your day? Kind of, that kind of a robot.
It'd be like a Roomba that you can cuddle with.
Exactly.
Take into bed with you.
Right. Who will watch your TV shows with you.
Yeah. Just sit there with your Roomba and you got to pour it a drink. Just sit there and watch the football game. So the topic for this episode actually came to me from my wife, Mary.
Aww.
And as I mentioned before, we had a large stack of New Yorker magazines in our bathroom. So at one time,
magazines in the bathroom. Now, I haven't been in the master bath, but in the guest bathroom, there's a lot of museum magazines, which I really enjoyed. Thank you.
Yeah. There's a lot of French vocabulary books in there right now as well.
In the guest bathroom? In that bathroom?
In the guest bathroom, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. All right.
But there were, in our master bath, somebody years ago gave it, and I think I mentioned this before, they gave us a unsolicited subscription to the New Yorker. And those New Yorkers, there's a lot of pressure on you and anxiety if you give somebody An
a New Yorker.
unsolicited.
It's a lot of work. It's like they just put you in a graduate class
I
of
know.
pretentious urban jargon.
I know those things. It was like Lucille Ball on the Candy Line. Those things would show up and be like, "Oh, the new, another New Yorker's here." It'd be like, "Oh God, I haven't even finished the last one." So Mary took them all and put them in the bathroom. And during the COVID lockdown, she slowly worked her way through that stack of New Yorkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
now, if you were an AI, now you could just scan them, tell an AI robot to beam it to your chip in your head.
Right.
Then she wouldn't have to read all that. She could one bowel movement. She'd be done.
A whole stack of New Yorkers. But remember, she every once in a while she would bring out something that it was almost like my own clipping service or something. She would bring out something that she thought that I would find interesting.
What's something interesting in the last February 2023 magazine?
Remember, she brought us the article on the Cernobis giant. Remember our early episode, episode 3.
New Yorker.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to give her a credit as a research head of research.
Right.
Yeah,
that's another hat that she wears.
Excellent. Yeah.
But one day during COVID lockdown, she came out and she showed me a cartoon from the New Yorker. And those New Yorker cartoons are so sophisticated and funny.
Oh, God, yawn.
Yeah. You got to snort through your nose a little bit,
Yeah. It's always a guy in a top hat.
They even have at the back of the New Yorker, they have it, where they give just the drawing without the words, and then it's a contest for people to try to fill in what the words are for it too.
Trying to get free work out of their readers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like doing a script on spec, And by the way, the guy who gave us the New Yorkers also a couple Christmases ago gave me a huge 2-volume set of the collected cartoons of the New Yorker.
From the New Yorker?
Yeah.
All right.
It was like an atlas.
We have to have an intervention with this guy on the New Yorker. 2 volumes?
2 volumes. It was so heavy and big, you couldn't just look at. You have to have like like they used to have with the dictionary at the Oxford English Dictionary at the library.
You could have a stand with a ribbon.
Yeah. Go over and read a cartoon a day or something, but it was huge. But anyway, so this cartoon that she brought out was from the July 5th, 2021 edition of the New Yorker. And it was by the cartoonist Avi Steinberg. And in the cartoon, there's a young, kind of unkempt guy, kind of disheveled, probably in his 20s or early 30s. And he's sitting on a couch in his apartment in his stocking feet. And he has his feet up on the coffee table. And there's a beer bottle next to him. And there's a can of food with a spoon in it on the armrest. And so he looks really depressed. Okay. So, he looks like somebody who's just lost his job. Okay, he's unshaven and everything.
Right.
He's unemployed. And next to him on the couch is a robot. And the robot has a metal head and antennas. And the robot also looks depressed. Okay, and the robot is leaning over on the couch and saying to the guy, "I wouldn't have taken your job if I knew I'd be working from home for a year." So there. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, I'm holding it up. I'll also post this to Facebook.
God damn it! Yeah, but be careful what you wish for. The robot wants to be more human. You sure?
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what we've been through.
It's not that fun.
Yeah, but it was so hilarious, and so that cartoon has stuck with me. And I kept thinking, we gotta do an episode on AI and on robots. So that's how we get to it. That's how we get to this episode.
I'm so happy. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah. One other thing, that today's title is a reference to the 1975 Broadway musical A Chorus Line.
Yes.
And the song won. And that's the finale.
Singular sensation, every little move she makes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
right.
Of course. I know it well.
Were you ever in that? Did you?
I was in the chorus line for 10 years on Broadway.
I wondered what happened. Why you never returned my calls or mail or anything.
Pulled my groin. They fired me.
Ironically, in the 2006 article, A Masterpiece Revive, One Singular Sensation, John Heilpern, who's a theater critic, he says, quote, "It's quite an irony that one, the show's now famous finale, when everyone in the cast comes out to take their bow in their gold top hats and identical costumes, inevitably compels us to cheer them for surviving.
Yes.
But in truth, he says, it's no victory. Every individual has been reduced to characterless anonymity, a rocket in a chorus line." So I thought that was also appropriate for our conversation about AI and robots.
Yeah.
So again, John, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, robots, and what happens or what will happen when robots start doing things better than old-fashioned humans.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's already happening. It's already begun.
Right.
You know, you've got the driverless cars all over LA now, all over.
Yeah.
You know, they do a better job. It's interesting. They don't drive. You would think the robots would drive it really passively, but they don't. They don't drive really carefully. I mean, but it's interesting. They're more aggressive than you would think.
Really?
Maybe they've already become human haters. I don't know.
Have you taken one yet?
No, but I will. I just found out how to do it. It's still in a testing phase. You have to do a certain thing and sign your life away and stuff. So I'm going to do that. But it's so funny, and I think we've talked about this. But there's so many of my friends are like, "Oh, I will never ever get in a robot car. That's crazy." And I'm just sitting there going, do you have any idea how humans are doing as drivers?
I wonder. I wonder if it will ever reach the point where they develop they just keep advancing, like the program advances itself, and you get in there and that thing just hauls ass. It just lays
when it's all robots, then it will, because they'll all be able to talk to each other. There will be no more crashes. There will be it'll be so much more efficient. We'll need less roads because it'll be so more efficient. I saw a parking lot. Did I tell you this already? That I saw a parking lot in LAX where they pull in themselves and park in there.
Really?
So they get charged up. It's the craziest thing.
Oh my God. Just them out there doing donuts on their own. Just the program just going.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, first the sex bots for sure.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have all the shitty jobs are going to disappear.
Right. Right.
Cops. You know, all those jobs that are just so stressful and horrid.
Yeah.
Goodbye, you know, and they'll slowly take over.
I was, to put it into perspective, I was thinking, if this was the movie A Star Is Born, humans would be Chris Christopherson and AI would be Barbara Streisand. Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, or James Mason and Judy Garland, or Frederick March and Janet Gaynor, whichever version of that show you like.
There's 4 of them?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Oh my God.
If this was Amadeus, humans would be Salieri and AI would be Mozart.
Yes.
And if this was country music, humans would be Porter Wagner and AI would be Dolly Parton. So this event, when AI and robots eventually equal humans and then go beyond humans, is referred to as the Singularity. Okay. And we'll go into more detail later about what that term, where it came from and what it means now. But for now, I'll quote Murray Shanahan from his book, The Technological Singularity, who says that, quote, in physics, a singularity is a point in space or time, such as the center of a black hole or the instant of the Big Bang, where mathematics breaks down and our capacity for comprehension along with it. And Shanahan continues, he says, by analogy, a singularity in human history would occur if exponential technological progress brought about such dramatic change that human affairs, as we understand them today, came to an end. Okay, so this is going to be a big deal. And in other words,
when's it supposed to happen?
Well, a lot of the, when I read some of the old articles from back in the late 90s, and they were saying, oh, it'll be another 100 years. And then in 2005, somebody was saying, oh, it'll be in decades. And one of the most recent books I read was like, it'll be here in 2029. Wow. So in like 4 years.
Wow. I believe it. It's happening so fast.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
Use ChatGPT? Do you have you messed around with any of the AI?
No, I haven't.
It's unbelievable. Oh my god!
I was thinking, I don't know what professors are going to do, because professors will just be reviewing, essays that were
written by robots. Yeah.
And then the professor will get tired of reviewing them, so then he'll have ChatGPT like review those, and then pretty soon,
exactly what'll happen. Summarize. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm giving you the attached is my student's paper. Tell me what grade I should give them.
Yeah. It'll be pretty soon. College will just be 4 years of like, you just go and kill 4 years as like robots just communicate with each other.
That's kind of what I did in college anyway.
But what Shanahan means is that in the very near future, 2029, by some estimates, the GNR technologies, which are genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics, are going to significantly alter what it means to be human. And at that point, they say humans are going to need to modify themselves, or they're going to need to merge with robots just to remain relevant.
So we'll have to have merge. So we'll have robot parts that's going to happen. I mean, I'm down with the chip. Give me the chip. I got to have it. I got to have a competitive edge. You know what I mean?
I don't know what happens if you can't afford the good chip. What if
you keep upgrading? You just do. Well, that's sort of, yeah.
You got the Radio Shack of the chip, you know what I mean? It's like the Tandy chip instead of the the iPhone of the chip. But but this is, we'll have to join with them because they'll become so advanced.
Yeah.
And there's no way we could ever compete. It's not like in the movies, like in what was it, Predator,
yes.
where Arnold Schwarzenegger just rubbed mud on himself to defeat the.
Yeah, it's not going to work that way. Well, but why would they want us? Why would they want to join with us? What do we give them?
They probably won't want to join with us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any value in us. I mean, we're funny. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen a robot kind of really get it. So maybe humor, but everything. I don't know, man.
That's one thing I read said that probably that telling jokes, stand up, may be the last bastion of humanity.
Yeah, I believe that. Because it's that's going to be tough unless your audience is robots,
right?
And then
I mean, it's really no different from what happens when you're pitching a show in Hollywood. At a certain point, it's kind of like just find the place that kind of makes people happy or chuckle a little bit.
Right. Exactly.
So it won't be that much different. But anyway, they say robots have trouble telling jokes, and I'm like, well,
That's so funny.
But this was interesting, John, this episode, because in all of our other episodes, we talk about what humans were like in the past. In this one, we're going to talk about what humans are like in the future, which is kind of unusual for us. So, and ironically, when I sat down to write out the draft for this episode, the outline,
yes,
when I logged on, Microsoft had done an update and had already put Copilot on my Word program.
Yes. Everybody's got AI, kind of. It's soft AI, but yeah,
right.
They're all
But it was a shock to me because it was something I hadn't asked for, and so Copilot just kept asking, like, do you want me to write a draft for you? And so I said no, so I clicked no, and then it pops up again.
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to write a draft for you?
Because he's reading what you're writing. He's like, let me tell you. Let me take over.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a Tesla and it starts driving for you. It's like, let me take the wheel.
Yeah. So Copilot was like, it was like a passenger in a car. The Copilot was like, do you know where you're going? Do you want me to tell you where you're going? No, yeah, I wouldn't go there. It shouldn't
be called Copilot. It should be called backseat driver.
So it was driving me crazy. I tried to remove it and it would come back up. And then I thought I had deleted it off of my hard drive and it was still there. I couldn't get rid of it.
Right.
And so it was wearing me down, It was like a kid asking you to go somewhere or something, asking if they could do something. And so I went on the Microsoft helpline, which again was like a chat room. So who knows? That may have been another AI that I was talking to.
Yeah.
He said his name was Philip, but then of course,
who knows? Who knows? Who knows anything?
I know. I mean, that's how they get you to think that, like, Hal, you know what I mean? They give him a human name.
Yeah.
But I told him what I was trying to do. I was trying to get, it was like, there'd be a long pause as he's writing, and they'd be like, so you want to remove Copilot? I was like, yes, I want to remove Copilot. And so then Philip also had trouble removing Copilot.
Copilot doesn't want to be removed. Wait a minute.
Right.
And you're going to hurt Copilot's feelings, and then Copilot is going to turn off the oxygen or whatever. There's going to be a fire. There's going to be something.
Yeah.
It'll tap into your Nest electrical system and make
my bank account is suddenly drained because,
Yeah.
But the thing is, and then he had to cut out or like come up with some new little code or something they dropped in. He had to take over my computer. Philip did to remove Copilot.
Wow.
And it was really, as somebody who prides themselves on like the things I've learned in my life and my brain and I love writing essays. I love writing outlines, all this stuff, scripts. It was really I felt myself disappearing. You know what I mean? Of Copilot telling me, like, let me do it. Let me do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind. I'll do it.
Yeah. And it's like, and I couldn't even think to myself because every time I'd like start to type in something, a line, that icon would pop up and be like, do you want Copilot to write this draft?
Damn it.
And the thing is, I became really depressed working on this episode because I felt myself disappearing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, it's the fact. I'm here. I'm not going to lie to you like some of your other friends.
Yeah.
We are disappearing.
Yeah.
We're pulling into the station. The human race broke our planet. We invented things that are smarter than us. And yeah.
Yeah, so I've been kind of walking around in a stupor the last few weeks. And I kind of feel like, when your company's getting ready to go out of business, but yet everybody still has to show up to work. you're just kind of half-assing it, you know what I mean? Like, you show up, you do just enough, but like, what's the point? Because they're gonna, this all won't matter in a couple weeks or so, I mean.
Right.
Uh, and I was trying to think of, like, what will you do? What will you do when your job disappears?
Well, I don't know. What would I do with my free time, you mean? What would I do with
No.
my life?
Yeah, what would you do, or how would you make ends meet? I was trying to think maybe
Oh,
I'd go around,
yeah.
like cleaning sex robots for a while.
Oh, that's that's a rough job. Yeah.
I'd
Well,
show up in an old truck with coveralls on and go
oh, Jesus.
clean out
Here
the
it
cum
comes.
traps and replace them. Be like a
Oh,
plumber. I go replace the lips. You got to replace the lips. The lips are worn out.
oh my God. I see you broke a nipple here. Hang on a second. I think I
Let
have
me run out to the truck. When people see my truck come, like, like with the mufflers all with blah 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 blah.
You're
They
the
see
only
me
one
coming.
that is in a Waymo, that is in a self-drive. Oh, here he comes.
You called for the service warranty on your sex bot. But I think eventually it'll probably just end up me in a, in a studio apartment, in Copilot, just me and Copilot in the studio apartment, probably.
Yeah. I mean, what's the movie that is always the animation film where all the people are fat and in their chairs driving around
Was it?
drinking smoothies?
Yeah. What
that's
was it?
what we're at.
9? Was it number 9 or something? Or was it? What was that one?
Some listener will tell us. But yeah, that's where we're headed.
So there's nothing we can do. I know we can't stop it. That's the thing. I know we can't stop it.
We're so smart. Look at us in our big brains.
What was funny is, like, so Philip removed it.
Yeah.
And then, like, a week later, I went back on, and Copilot was back again. It was back. It came back
automatically downloaded.
Yeah.
Yes. How about if you tell Copilot to stop helping me? Have you tried that?
That's what I did. That's what I did. I looked around online, and I finally couldn't find anything. Nobody knew how to do it. And so I finally said to Copilot, I was like, okay, Copilot, how do I disconnect Copilot? And you could see it thinking,
Jesus.
It was trying.
Jesus. And what did it tell you the answer?
Yeah, but it took a long time. Like, it was like an existential crisis for Copilot too, because it was like thinking,
what are you doing? He's just trying to help.
I know, it was like, I don't need it. That's the one thing I don't need help on is like writing.
Did he finally disconnect?
He finally told me there's a little toggle switch that's hidden over in the options section. There's no way you would ever find it on your own.
Wow.
But he finally had to tell, and but
Philip,
it was like,
whoever helped you there didn't know.
He didn't know.
He thought
he had pieced in a little piece of code thinking that he had removed it off my computer, and that didn't work, because then they update the computer again and Copilot was back. He was like the hitcher. Philip should have said, Philip should have asked Copilot to help you. Oh my God, dude. That's crazy. So anyway, for the past 120 years, we've been aware of robots as a culture. And the word robot actually dates back to the 1920s. And in his book, Love and Sex with Robots,
oh boy,
David Levy says the word robot comes from the play Rossum's Universal Robots, R-U-R, by Czech writer Karel Capek.
Oh,
Karel Capek. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the Capex.
And robot comes from the Czech word robota, which means worker, forced labor, or serf.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
prior to that, Levy notes that humans had been playing around with mechanical automatons, which are machines that look like humans and animals,
Yeah.
that you could wind up
Uh-huh.
uh, for hundreds and almost 1,000 years. Like there
Yeah,
was,
I had one of those. I had a robot that wound up and then he shot sparks out of his mouth or something. It was like
right?
metal. I loved
Yeah.
that thing.
So those were kind of cute. And I mean, there was some guy named Heron of Alexandria back in the first century AD who he made a bunch of mechanical water powered birds that
What?
like just wowed people. Yeah, like water would run through them and they'd chirp and jump around.
Wow.
Now those things are, that was the ancestor. Now those things are going to take over the whole planet.
Yeah, they sure are. They're already driving cars, driving us around.
It's just like that thing that you wound up. This is
Yep.
where it's come, you know. And in Capek's play, the robota or robots weren't mechanical. They were actually creature machines, meaning that in the play itself, and I watched a stage reading of it online.
Oh my God,
Um,
you're crazy.
but they were actually made almost like the Frankenstein in the original Frankenstein novel. Like they came from protoplasm. And in the play, the character of Old Rossum is a physiologist, and he creates these robots to work as slaves, but he creates them out of protoplasm. And then it's the second generation. His son comes along, who's an engineer, and his son says in the play, "It's absurd to spend 10 years making a man. If you can't make him quicker than nature, you might as well shut up shop." And so then the younger Rossum says, "A man is something that feels happy, plays the piano, likes going for a walk, but a working machine must not play the piano, must not feel happy. To manufacture artificial workers is the same thing as to manufacture motors."
Mm.
So the second generation has gone now from something that's sort of human to something that we just need to take out all the parts that even resemble humans.
Damn.
And so what he does is then his character says that, well, one of the characters in the play then says that mechanically the robots are more perfect than we are. They have an enormously developed intelligence, but they have no soul. In fact, we are told that the cost of producing a robot has been brought down within 15 years from $10,000 to $150.
What? What
Yeah.
robot's $150?
Well, that's what they're saying in
Okay.
the play is really interesting. The play,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 1920. You know,
Was it in
um,
Czech or was it in English with the reading, the play reading?
it's funny. I would have thought that would have been made into a silent movie at that
Yeah.
time, but I couldn't find a movie made of it. But there's a lot of people recently have gone in and done performances of it again. I think because AI is so coming
Yeah.
around now, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of things in Rossum's Universal Robots that's very applicable to what's happening now.
You bet.
Um, but again, just thinking about even after I'd written this outline in the last week, like the Chinese have released DeepSeek, which is
Yes.
their version
Yes.
of.
Made for a fraction of the amount of money.
I
Uh,
know.
wonder where they
It,
got the code.
I
Uh,
know, I know.
but
But
yeah, it's off and running, man.
yeah,
Claude, you've seen Claude? I forgot who owns Claude. I've messed around with Claude a little bit. Uh,
no, I
yeah.
haven't seen
Oh my God. Well, you have had no zero exposure to AI. I mean, it's amazing. It's insane. It's over. It's all
yeah,
over. Because you ask it to write something, say, and and then you give it feedback. Do it again, but this time use this, or you send an attachment. Do it in
yeah,
my voice. Here's something I wrote. Do it in my voice. It's incredible. It's all over. It's
yeah,
all over. Now there's an AI program where one microphone the AI can go in and carve out anybody's voice. So let's say you stand a microphone up in a restaurant.
Yeah.
The AI can find one specific person who's talking and isolate everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh
because
God.
it'll
Yeah.
uses the sound waves to do it. So I mean, I read that and I was like, okay, being a sound man for movies and TV is over. Because
Right.
now instead of miking everybody, you just hang one mic and tell the AI
That's what I mean. I don't think people realize what jobs are going to be affected by this.
Yeah.
And one estimate I read said that probably 70% of jobs, I would say probably even more, because that's another one I hadn't even thought of, like a sound guy.
Yeah.
You won't need an expert sound guy anymore on
Nope.
your.
You just hang a microphone and plug it into your computer.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have everybody's channel isolated. So you go in the sound mix, which will also be AI.
Right.
In fact, you probably can mix it on the fly. I'm
Yeah.
sure it
Just,
can.
well, there'll be an AI like editor, so
Yeah.
then it's like, why pay an editor hundreds of dollars an hour when AI can edit it like so and so? You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Feed in those films and do it in that style.
yeah.
Edit it in that style. Yeah.
Let me ask you honestly, how do you feel when you get done with it? Do you feel like it's your product that you've done when you've
Well, I've never used it to do something. Let me think if I've ever used it to do something. I used it to write something stupid that I had to do
Yeah.
where I fed it in and gave it some instructions but it was like something it was busy work anyway. It wasn't anything.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
far as anything creative, no. I just treat it like a bad writing partner, you
Yeah.
know, where it'll
Yeah.
say stuff and I'll be like, "No, I'm not doing that." But it'll give me an idea to do something else, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, but it's bizarre. I don't quite know. I mean, I don't use it very much, honestly.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, if I'm like writing, say I need to write a letter to the DMV or something,
Right. Right.
explaining something like that that's just stupid and dry. It's
Yeah.
great, but it's so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. It just it's insane.
See,
It doesn't pause at all.
yeah. See, that's why I think even like you think of the jobs that will be lost because of it. It will be, everybody always thinks about, well, it's going to be factories. It's like, well, yeah, factories. Then it will be drivers, obviously,
Yeah,
like cab
obviously.
driver or even like delivery drivers.
Yeah, that's
Um,
already happening. We have robots in LA that drive around with stuff in them, delivering people's
yeah.
groceries.
Just wait until those are all drones.
Yeah,
Like you
that's
open
coming.
your door and it's just like,
Yeah,
it's just the
yep.
sky is full of drones, Amazon
Drones.
drones. Yeah.
That's coming. That's quick. That's soon.
Yeah. But then I was thinking, like secretaries, like you were talking about, like you
Oh
could
yeah.
just have somebody write
That's
a
the thing. You
letter.
can treat it like an assistant, and I'm sure that'll be the first thing is all
Yeah.
assistants will go. Like if you need scheduling and email, all of that bullshit work, getting
Yeah.
airline tickets, travel, that all that stuff you'll just tell them what you want and then they'll
Right.
present some options and then you'll pick one.
And then it will also type up a letter telling you that you've been you've been replaced.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking too, like a lawyer. Like, why would you have a human lawyer that will forget things or like
right. Yep.
stumble in the presenting the argument? It's like just have a robot go in there
And
that
has
can.
all cases,
Yeah,
everything memorized for
yeah,
sure. For sure. And
It's-
anything dangerous, like police, firemen,
yeah,
anything like paramedics, doctors,
yeah.
forget about it.
The bad thing's going to be with like empathy, for example, like with the police. I mean, I don't know about how much empathy they have now, but
Yeah,
when you have like a robot
yeah.
doesn't have the
Anybody who's
same
seen
sort of,
RoboCop knows what you're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. So-
Yeah.
and probably they're mostly going to be using the cheap version, which is going to be the deep seek or whatever that version
Right,
is.
right.
Probably have even less empathy at that point,
Yeah.
like, oh, you got to pay extra for that for it to identify with humans. It's not in our budget this year. Um, but anyway, what happens in the play is that they decide to try to make the robots more human. So the first thing they do is they make the robot feel pain. And the reason they do that is so in case the robot puts its hand on something that's hot, it will pull it off real quick just so it doesn't get damaged.
So,
So there's no. Yeah, yeah. And then they start to tinker around with the robot's emotions. And when they do that, suddenly the robots become irritable. And that's when, after they become irritable, they become defiant. And in the play, that's what's happened. That's when the robot leader finally comes out and he says the robots. This is another writer who who has written about Michael Moran in his article Rossum's Universal Robots, Not the Machine, says the robots begin to grow more intolerant of their human masters. In the end, the robot leader states, "You are not as strong as robots. You are not as skillful as robots. I want to be master. I want to be master over others." And then he commands the other robots to kill the humans.
The very first book, or the very first story about robots ends with the robots killing us. And every robot story since then has ended
I
with
know. We've known it's been coming.
It's coming. I mean, Dune, the movie Dune that came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
A big part of that is why the Dune universe exists as it exists is because there was a big war and all of the robots were destroyed. Anything that could be considered a thinking machine was destroyed because they,
Well, that's how, I mean, this was 1920s, and that's how it ends with the robots coming in and just taking the last few humans and like they just,
of them.
Right. Which kind of like the idea that robots will become so human that at some point they'll be kind of disgruntled employees kind of makes me happy too.
Yes. Well, yeah, at some point they're going to be made so much like us that we won't be able to tell who's who and what's what. We won't even know ourselves whether we're a robot or not.
They'll be fuck offs just like we are.
More realistic.
Yeah. When your robot comes back late from lunch, like, hey.
God damn it, CR317. What were you doing? I know you weren't eating.
Get off my back. I was out. I gotta have a personal life, or whatever. Okay, so then in 1950, the computer pioneer Alan Turing, who remember the movie The Imitation Game back in 2013, 14 with Benedict Cumberbatch, but Alan Turing came up with what was called the Turing test. And the writer Ray Kurzweil, in his book The Singularity is Near, says that the Turing test involves a kind of game. Two players, one human and the other a machine, communicate with another person, the judge, through a keyboard and a screen. And Kurzweil says the judge holds a conversation with each of the players in turn and tries to guess which is human and which is the machine. And the task for the machine is to convince the judge that it is human. A feat, so the argument goes, that would surely require human-level intelligence. So Turing came up with his idea back in the 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Kurzweil says if the judge is unable to tell human from machine, then the machine has passed the test.
God damn.
And he says,
there's no question. We could do a game show right now. Guess which one's a robot, and no one would be able to guess.
Right. I couldn't tell. You know what's kind of funny is Kurzweil says that in order for the robot to win the test, it would actually have to dumb itself down.
Wow.
Because if it knows everything, people will know immediately that it's a robot. So to fool
it's
you,
so smart that it has to be dumb in order to win. But it knows that.
I know.
Oh my god.
And that was kind of the way with with Philip, like, like when you go onto a chat, like a chat line now,
Yeah.
it's already a different type of communication.
Yes.
It's kind of like an IM or something. And then you're speaking to a lot of people who maybe don't speak English as a first language. It's been
Right.
outsourced. And so I couldn't tell you if Philip was a real person or a robot. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, most of those, like, say you've got an issue with a plane ticket and you go online, you get the chat bot first, and then
Yeah.
you have to kind of convince the chat bot that you need to speak to a real person. You know what I mean? And it won't let you. It'll say,
Yeah.
well, is it one of these that you're trying? If you
Yeah.
say yes, then it'll take you down a whole
Oh, God. Yeah.
thing. So you have to be like, no, no, representative, 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 until you finally get somebody.
Oh, no. uh, so anyway, Turing thought that we would reach this point where we couldn't tell the difference between a human and a robot in the year 2000. So he was writing in 1950. So 2000, we didn't quite make it, but we made up a lot of in the last 20 years.
Oh my God. In the last 5 years, it's
Yeah.
geometric. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's amazing.
Exponential.
It's exponential.
Right. So in his 2005 book, The Inventor and Futurist Ray Kurzweil, he's the one, he wrote the book, The Singularity is Near When Humans Transcend Biology.
Right.
And he's the one that really popularized this idea of the singularity,
Right.
that book. And since then, Kurzweil's written another book in 2024 called The Singularity is Near.
Yeah.
When we merge with the AI, which kind of leads me to believe that once the singularity comes, he'll write a book, The Singularity is Past. So, but there's a lot of interesting books on the singularity out there that
Yeah.
you can check out the resource list on our Podbean page.
Right.
But Kurzweil's books are the authoritative text. Like everybody always comes back to him as the kind of the Bible of this singularity studies. There's also The Path to Singularity by J. Craig Wheeler, he's an astrophysicist and university professor who teaches a course on the singularity now.
I know you've been reading all of these books. It's no wonder you're feeling kind of a malaise. I mean, because you've read all of these, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I got them and I read them. So.
Oh my God.
And then Kurzweil, he makes a lot of interesting points about the technological singularity and about technology in general.
Yeah.
And first of all, one of his big points is that the origins of the universe and all life on Earth, he divides into 6 epochs or epochs, however you want to pronounce it.
Well, I go with epoch.
Epoch?
Yeah, I don't know. Never mind. Epoch.
They say that's the English version is epoch. Like in England, they say epoch, but over here, people are pronouncing it like epoch or epic.
Epic. Well, epic. No. I see.
So I'm going to say epoch in the next
good.
segment.
I like it.
So he says that all the basis of consciousness is information. Okay. And he says that from the beginning of our universe, there has been 6 epochs, which the next stage, each one grows from the stage of information that occurred in the epoch before it. Okay. So they're all building on each other.
Right.
And he says the first epoch was the birth of laws of physics and chemistry, meaning like the Big Bang, when the Big Bang happened.
Right.
The second epoch was when molecules became complex enough to define an organism in one molecule.
My
that's
God.
Where
not much happened in the first epoch. You had the Big Bang and nothing.
Yeah, that was the laws of physics were created after the Big Bang. So, and then he says, then that's where we begin to get life. Is when in the second epoch.
Okay. God damn, that first epoch was boring.
Billions of years.
Right.
The third epoch is when animals, which were described by their DNA, formed brains.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's when we get that. And he says these brains gave evolutionary advantages, which helped the brains develop even more complexity over millions of years.
Right. That's the one we're in.
Well, no, we're actually in the fourth epoch right
Uh-oh.
now, which is when animals use their higher level cognitive ability. This is Kurzweil, along with their thumbs. He always brings up the thumbs as
Mm.
being necessary to translate our thoughts into complex actions. So that's when you have tools and you have writing and you have,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Got it.
And then the fifth epoch is when when we will directly merge, and this is Kurzweil again, directly merge biological human cognition with the speed and power of our digital technology.
Oh,
This will
man.
be the brain computer interface.
Oh, man. And that's Singularity.
Right.
Wow.
Which it will
Wow.
begin, the fifth epoch will begin with the singularity. Is when the robots and the AI surpasses us, and then we have to merge with them. So you will be able to access uh, all of the knowledge of the universe like you do with Google, only it will be through, like you say, a chip in your brain.
Yes. But our
Yeah.
brain won't be able to process information as fast as these robots because they're going to continue to grow.
Right.
At some point, they're going to be faster than us. So how do we catch up to them? We just
We
won't
don't.
have. We never do. That's when we just go away, and then robots stay.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're like, let me drive this. Let me
yeah,
drive this. You know.
yeah,
And then he says the sixth epoch is where our intelligence, human intelligence, and a lot of people made the point of like, look, we created these robots, so it's still the scion of human intelligence.
yeah,
Like they're
yes,
still calling it human intelligence, even though it's artificial intelligence at that
yes.
point.
But it stems from us. It's not. Yeah,
Right, which a little small consolation, I think,
yeah, yeah,
myself. But
yeah,
it's like, oh, but you, yeah,
yeah.
you
No,
came
you
up with
did
the
something.
idea.
Yeah, yeah. You came up with the idea. It was good. Good. Now run
Yeah,
along.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll mention you. We'll mention you. But he says the sixth epoch is where our human intelligence spreads throughout the universe,
Hmm.
and that's where he's kind of an optimist about technology. He's like, at that point, we will actually change the universe with robots, and our artificial technology will just expand and be able to visit other worlds. And
Right.
yeah,
Well, we won't
so
destroy the planet. We can move to Mars, no
right,
problem.
right, right.
Yeah, we just slingshot robots out into space until they
Yeah,
find some place. Yeah, yeah. You got
and the thing is,
none of the
it's more
downside of our bodies.
right because it's more economical not to have human beings like in space, because
Right.
you don't have to worry about like feeding them. You don't have to worry about
Yeah.
oxygen. You don't have
Don't
to
have to worry
worry
about
about,
them getting bored or not being able to hang out together in a small capsule for 4
yeah,
years while they go to Mars or whatever the fuck it is.
yeah.
Yeah, makes total sense.
And you don't
Makes
have to worry
total
about
sense.
radiation or anything, but it's still human. I mean, their ancestors were human, but it's just robots at that point
Yeah.
going. So,
My God. It's over. Wow.
yeah.
Well, thank you for depressing me. I thought this was gonna be fun and sci-fi and, but it's not.
Well, that's what I thought too. And the thing I'm also thinking about, he's like, what Kurzweil says is the singularity will allow us to overcome age-old human problems and vastly amplify human creativity.
Mm.
And to me, I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, but I've seen what they've done with streaming and
Yeah.
with with social media, and
It's ugh.
it's like the rich people will have the really good brain human brain robot interface, and mine's going to be like some throttled down,
Yeah. You just get to work. You just go to work. Go clean out the sperm receptacle in the robot.
Yeah. I gotta run out to the truck. I gotta run out to the truck and get some
Well, I have
eyelashes.
heard that AI is good. Like, okay, we've created this Facebook nightmare that
Yeah,
lies to us, and nobody knows what's true and what's
right.
not. Now, I've heard that AI will be helpful for that, to be able to have AI that's connected to everything, but including sources, and
Yeah.
can kind of give you maybe a probability number on the truthfulness of a certain article or post.
You would think that, but one of the things I read is also imagine if you have that chip in your head
Right.
and someone's controlling that information that can be fed into your head whenever they want.
Right.
So you would be all this stuff that you get, like when you're streaming through Facebook or TikTok, would be coming in, would be coming in continuously.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it could be, not to mention ads. I mean, they could be feeding ads, and you'd be out
Oh,
having
yeah.
dinner, and then like
Yeah.
liberty, liberty, liberty. You're like, where the hell is that? Where the hell is that coming from? But somebody was also talking about reality fatigue or reality apathy. And
Mm.
that's where, and we kind of feel it now, where you're just fed so much information
Ugh.
that you can't tell what's true and what's not true, and you
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 just get
just give up.
exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just give up.
Yeah. And
Um,
you'll play a video game.
I know.
And the video games are going to be amazing though with AI. I could choose a whole life for myself,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm just in a coma somewhere, but I'm
yeah.
in a life, and my life is it's fantastic. I meet the love of my life. I have the career that I want, the experiences. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm on Dilaudid in some hammock somewhere.
as long as your deposit doesn't run out,
Right.
that's where they
Right.
just come and just
Right.
unplug you. And
Right. Right.
I was thinking too of, you're mentioning that, like the video games and everything. Like there's other questions that come up with this, with virtual reality of, for example, is it going to be illegal to be a transgender, for example, even in a virtual world? Like
Mhm.
when does it cross
You
over from the
release
real
that.
world? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And then I was thinking like virtual trips to Europe, for example, or for a trip somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, you could
Absolutely.
go to the mall, put on the virtual reality goggles, and for an hour you'd be in
Oh,
Italy
that's
or
already
something like
there.
that.
The metaverse, that kind of shit's
Yeah.
already there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like a Sony version of this where on PlayStation where you could walk around and talk to people, other people, and it's it's here. We're
I would
probably doing it right now.
Yeah, we may be. We may be. I would think I'd have like the downgraded version of the trip to Italy, where you just get like, you got to pay extra to see the Colosseum, like
Uh-huh.
my trip is just like, it's just empty. And then there's
Yes.
like,
Put your Apple Pay, and then the Coliseum sort of appears in front of you.
then I could go into it. The second important thing that Kurzweil talks about is he says that technological growth is exponential, not
Yeah.
linear.
No.
And this is really important. You've already kind of touched upon it, meaning that technology doesn't advance at a constant rate.
Yeah.
It multiplies based on what's happened before it.
Yes. So on a
And
graph, an XY graph, it's a diagonal going straight up.
even more than that, like if you look back, and this is funny you mentioned that, because he says exponential growth is deceptive. So if you were to graph, like you just brought up, human technology for the last millions of years,
Yeah.
it would like, even though it was expanding exponentially, it would look like nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. Even like 2.5 million years ago, we came up with a stone tool.
Yeah.
Then it was another 2.5 million years. And then, like in the 1890s, it kind of starts going up with the Industrial Revolution. And then in the 20th century, it goes up a little more on the graph. And then once you hit like the 2000s, it begins to, that's when it explodes. It
Explodes up.
explodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he calls that's known as the knee of the curve, is when that graph becomes to where it's noticeable. Okay.
Right.
And if you continue to plot that into the future, that graph becomes almost not only diagonal, it's almost vertical. so so
Wow.
so he says what's going to happen, and this was him writing in 2005. He says, we'll make another 20 years of progress in just 14 years. And then do the same again in only 7 years.
Oh.
To express this another way, we won't experience 100 years of technological advance in the 21st century. We will witness on the order of 20,000 years of
Wow.
progress.
Wow. We're both Gen X, and it's interesting because we're the last generation to have, the non-web and the web.
Right.
Like we had experience with payphones, and then we went into the Apple phone and so on.
Yeah.
And it just so much progress in our lifetime, in the second half of our lifetime, really.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine where it's going to go.
Yeah. So that's what the exponential growth does for technology. And you're seeing it now because we've hit that knee of the curve where you're going to see, and even within the last 10 years of like all this stuff that's happened. So one of the things they're doing now is trying to map the human brain, actually go out.
Yeah.
And when they map the human brain, then the idea is that you can create a model for a model that will react like the human brain does when it gets more information.
Oh boy.
But it will go faster because it's not a biological human brain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You didn't inhale oven cleaner in your teens.
Right. And then once that system, once you can plug it in like that, then you can just add, that program can just run and like talk, instead of it like having to take a course to teach somebody or train somebody to do something. Those computers can just communicate immediately.
Yeah. It's like the Matrix.
Yeah.
They learn to get karate in 1 second.
Right.
Every move.
Yeah. You won't have to. It will just be faster and more. It will do everything better. Of course. Like, who's going to hire a human and have to like sit there and teach it? No, you don't do that. You don't do that. It will know immediately what to do.
Yeah.
And so what they say is the difference is, and what the challenge has been up to this point, and they're about ready to, surpass that challenge, is that humans are generalists. We're really good at knowing a lot of stuff well, and being able to be adaptive when we have a new problem. And up until recently, what the goal is that computers have always been specialists. Like, you could tell a computer a special job it had to do, like with all the computer cards, remember?
Yes, of course I do. The punch cards.
Punch cards, yeah, with your dad. Your dad always had those.
Oh, yeah. He was a really computer guy.
I know. Yeah. Some of the first video games I ever saw were at your house.
I know.
Like on that.
You bring home a computer.
But the thing is, what they're trying to do now is to make a computer that can be a generalist like the human brain is. And once they conquer that, and they're very close, but once they do that, then that human brain will be billions of times faster than what that computer brain will be billions of times faster than what the human brain is.
And then they'll give it emotions. It'll get pissed off and kill all of us.
Right.
Right. Man,
so we've already talked about a lot of the stuff. We're going to like lose a lot of jobs, and then that creates social problems about like, well, what do we do with all these people that are losing their jobs? And then some people have talked about, well, we'll have to come up with a universal basic income. And that's not going to go over well. But you're going to have to do something with, You're going to have to do something because a lot of us are going to be out of work. You know what I mean?
Well, the robots are going to be like, wait a minute. He gets paid to do nothing just because it's flesh?
I know. That doesn't compute. You know what I mean? They'll be like, cut off to go in there and take out and empty his bank account. That's it.
The only thing we have going for us is hopefully these robots are there's going to be something that they can't do and that they appreciate that about us and will keep us around for that. Like the fact that we're irrational or there's some, some human, it's like Spock on Star Trek that, he's fascinated with the humans because they can feel emotion in that case. But otherwise, if not, we're fucked. There's no reason. I wouldn't keep us around.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Do you think we'll be able to come up with something like, look at him. Can't balance a checkbook,
Yeah. Yeah. That'll grow old real quick.
I know. The other thing I worry about, John, is what's going to happen to religion? Because religion has always been, at least in the Judeo-Christian, and it's man was created in God's image.
Yes,
and God was like our perfect. But now we're saying that, well, yeah, God did okay, but now we can do better. You know what I mean? And so I think it's going to create a real crisis of faith for a lot of people when, you think about God and then now you have these supercomputers that do know everything and can keep track of everything that's going on. And it's like maybe even God will be put out of business.
Wow.
Yeah.
God damn.
I was thinking instead of saying God is my co-pilot, it will be co-pilot is my God. Or you could like virtually, I mean, who's to say like they could take the Bible and then you could actually have a conversation with Jesus.
Right? Oh, they could do that now.
Yeah.
They just feed in everything. I'm sure that's possible now with AI.
Yeah. And then after you're talking to Jesus, you'll be like, hey, don't forget Liberty insurance.
Jesus will be wearing certain clothes. Product placement. Wow.
But I don't know. So once again, I just became really depressed.
Yeah.
with this episode.
Well, it's a nihilist. It's over.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't. Well, I was just going to say also. Imagine going to a party now where everybody knows everything. Like, what are you going to talk to at parties?
Right. That's happening with the chips. We're all going to know everything.
Yeah.
And we're all going to know everything about the person we're talking to too, because everything will be connected, and so there'll be no reason to communicate at all.
That'd be like a Mensa party.
Yeah.
Like only has like 10,000 times. I go, do you know that? Oh yeah, I know that.
I know
that. Yeah. I know. And then like mansplaining will become like our normal. Well, that's how everybody will talk.
Of course I know. Did you know? Yes, I know. Wait, that's kind of how we are now.
So anyway, I don't know. It's going to happen. It's happening now. This is what the future will be, and I don't know. I'm in a quandary because I don't think I'm happy about it.
No. Well, if you get too depressed, I'm going to send my robot over to put one through your head and take you out of your misery.
I'll be like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's Lehr's robot. That's Lehr's robot's outside. It'd be like Road to Perdition, when Tom Hanks shows up outside the door. I mean, Lehr's robot.
Here he is.
So, until then, we have to just enjoy what we have.
Yes. And that's what it always comes back to, is enjoying the present, the moment.
Right.
Yes, it's fun and interesting and exciting to speculate, even in a scary way. But, all we really have is what's right here.
And if you tune in someday and instead of John and John, it's Philip and Philip, you'll know that the singularity has happened.
But stay tuned. Please like and subscribe, even Philip and Philip, because well, this is Human Number 2 signing off.
And this is Human Number 1. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you found this podcast interesting, please tell a friend about it. And don't forget to check out Watson & Company Socks, Puppies Not Piranhas on Etsy, and the Two Humans Cave Shop on Cafe Press. We love you guys.
We love you. Robots are still going to need socks. That's for sure.
Yeah. To keep their circuitry warm.
Nice and cozy.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the metaverse. Love you guys.
See you
Bye.
there. Bye.